Hey there. Have you ever walked into a room and thought to yourself, now what was I here for? Well, trust me, I've done the same exact thing. And on this episode, we're going to sit down. We're going to talk like friends about memory, what causes those fuzzy moments, and some natural things we can do to protect our minds after 55. So before we get into any of that, I've got to do a little bit of housekeeping first. All right? Yes, it's time for the weekly disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional or a counselor in any way, shape, or form. The information that I provide and share here is based strictly on my own research and my own experience. This is not medical advice, and you should always, always, always check with your healthcare provider or your medical professional before trying any new remedies or changing up your routine, especially if you're taking medication or if you are managing a health condition. Okay, so welcome. I am Roy, and this is Life After 55, where we keep it natural and practical. And just a quick reminder, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm launching a simple, affordable monthly membership, which will include 2 exclusive videos every month and a healing and holistic wellness newsletter. And also a little segment that I thought up about. Well, actually, I had gotten some feedback from people who aren't as mobile as some of us are. And I had mentioned that I would be taking road trips to, interesting places, beautiful places, fun places, historic places. So anyways, I came up with the idea of a road trip with Roy. And this is where I will be going out traveling locally, like, in the Carolinas, Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, maybe, whatever. And, do like a video log of my travels and share that with you so that you can enjoy these places on your own, in your own time, whenever you feel like doing so. So I will give you more details at the end of this video, but if that sounds like something you might be interested in, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. All right? Now also, this episode pairs very well with episode 7. Episode 7 was titled Natural Help for Mental Clarity. So watch this video first and then go over to grab episode 7, which will give you extra tips because that episode, like I said, it ties in with this one. That one was called Natural Help. Let me see, what was it? Natural Help for Mental Clarity, which is similar to what we're talking about tonight. Anyways, I will put the link in the description down below. Okay. Now, getting right into it here. Some forgetfulness is normal. Sorry, I got distracted. There's something flying around in here. No, it's nothing like a battery. He's like a moth or something. Hopefully he stays over there and doesn't disrupt the video here. Anyways, like I was saying, some forgetfulness is normal no matter how old you are. Even as a kid, you forget things. Maybe not as frequently, but, some of it is normal. And the reason for that is our brains are busy. Your brain is processing millions of things every day, things that it sees, things that it hears, things that it feels. Your brain is definitely a busy place. Now, there are a few things that can make it worse, and most are fixable the natural way. Some of the things like stress and poor sleep, those things contribute to your brain's, what I call your brain's file cabinet. If you're stressed out all the time or you have very poor sleep, this contributes to your brain's file cabinet getting messy. Dehydration is another thing. I don't think I've done an episode. If you look through all the episodes we've done, I think this is episode 15 that we're on right now. But if you look at the prior episodes, I don't think there's one episode where I haven't talked about dehydration and how, not enough water basically screws you up. And I've also said this in the past, I am not a water person. I never was. And now I am trying. I'm still only at 3 cups of water a day, but I'm working on that. But anyways, and I have noticed it does help. My skin doesn't feel as wrinkled. It kind of like boosts me in the morning and stuff, But I've noticed there's a change. But anyways, water is very, very important. So try and drink your water every day, okay? Medications. There are certain allergy, pain, or sleep meds that have side effects that those too can fog your memory up and, give you that forgetfulness or whatever. Excuse me. Low nutrients, especially if you have low levels of B12 and vitamin D. Those things affect your memory and your mental clarity. Hearing or vision strain is something else that contributes to it. When you think about it, when you are working hard just to hear something or to focus on something, that's your brain focusing most of its attention on, looking at whatever it is you're looking at and processing that, or listening and trying to listen if you're hard of hearing or whatever. Your brain is kind of shifting over to that aspect of your senses. And that steals brain power, which again, if you're doing that all the time, that too creates or contributes to, forgetfulness, that brain fog and that kind of thing. And another thing that, in episode 7, I remember talking about this was loneliness and low movement. It was amazing to me, or very revealing to me, when I had researched this and found that loneliness, your brain craves like other people around, because people talk, people, friends, whatever. You're bouncing things around. You're talking about what happened, and people are like, "Oh, did you see this?" or what, whatever. But that stimulates your brain. And when you're sitting there by yourself all the time and you have nobody to talk to or anything like that, your brain kind of just sort of, it's like atrophy in your brain. Your brain loves people, and that helps with fresh blood flow to your brain, which you need. Blood sugar and blood pressure swings. Those things, those too contribute to brain fog. Your brain likes everything to be steady, It's kind of like your brain all your life has been, on the same highway going the same speed, and suddenly, it's going faster, it's going slower, and your brain does not like that. And especially as you get older, it contributes to, the brain fog and the what's the other word I can't think of the other word I'm trying to think of, but you know what I'm talking about, I hope. Okay, these are all doors that we can open gently and naturally. Okay? Now, here's one we're going to get out of the way right away, because a lot of people don't like moving, and I don't think any of us really enjoy it as far as exercise goes. And I know there is a group that certainly does, but there's also a group that doesn't. But you need to start moving if you're not. For those of you who do go to the gym or walk or whatever, this is not for you. But for those of us who are pretty sedentary, just as an example for me, I work a bookkeeping job, and then on the weekends I do ride share for Lyft. And those are both sitting down, not doing anything, other than driving or punching numbers into computers and things like that. So I need to walk. We all need to do something. And again, I'm included in that. I'm not excluding myself from anything. But, if you can do things like, chair exercises like you see in the picture there. You can do squats like that. And again, I don't want you to, if you're somebody who hasn't done any exercises in 20 years or whatever, I certainly don't expect you to climb a rock wall or anything like that. Take things slowly, one step at a time. One thing you can do, for example, is just march in place or even seated, just moving your legs up and down like you're marching. Do it for 60 seconds, then do sit to stand things. Sit down in a chair, stand up, sit back down, stand up, sit back down, stand up, like easy things like that. And if you do that 8 to 10 times every day, you'll start seeing a difference. It's invigorating you. It's getting your blood flowing. You'd be surprised. There are people that have cold feet all the time and cold hands and whatever. And that's from poor blood circulation. And if you get your blood moving all the time, you'll notice a marked improvement in that, I assure you. You can do heel to toe balance. We're going to kind of talk about this again next week, but heel to toe balance, stand by a counter or something, hang on to the counter and, stand on your toes for 30 seconds, then rock back on your heels for another 30 seconds. Do it again, do that 5-10 times. You can do cross body taps, which is you take your right hand, touch your left knee, then take your left hand, touch your right knee, and do that for a couple minutes. You can do slow calf raises. Again, this is basically like standing on your toes. Do that for 10-15 times. You can do breathing exercises, which I do because as those of you who have seen me before, you know that I have COPD, and breathing exercises are good for me, and so I try to do those. I'm not, I don't want you to think that I don't miss out on it. I mean, sometimes I forget. Pardon me. There's a cold going around here, by the way, and I think I have it, which isn't good for somebody with COPD. But anyways, some of the exercises, like one of the easy ones you do, you can breathe in, take a deep breath for 4 seconds, hang on to it for a minute and then slowly exhale, slowly and try to do that, 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Okay. And, that's fresh oxygen. And that helps your brain. It does. It helps your brain a lot because even I feel that just doing the breathing exercises. And I'm not even doing that for my brain. I'm doing it more for my COPD. But I do notice it stimulates your brain. Okay, so try to do some exercises. And even if you don't want to do any of the things I just suggested, go out in your garden or, pull some weeds, something, just move. Okay, and the next thing is you got to eat like your brain is expensive. That's how I look at it, because food nowadays, I'm sure you all know that you've been to the grocery store. Food is not cheap anymore. That's a whole different thing, and I don't want to get off on a rant on that, so that's all I'll say about that. But here's a simple brain bowl that I have. You can have warm quinoa over greens, a handful of walnuts and blueberries on top, and then drizzle some olive oil and lemon with a tiny pinch of turmeric and black pepper on it. As an optional treat, you can flake in some salmon, and you're done, making that in a couple minutes. I do blueberries and spinach and, some walnuts and salmon and a little bit of olive oil and turmeric and pepper. And it's not bad. Now, and the quinoa. Now, if you're not familiar with quinoa, a lot of people aren't, but I'm sure a lot of you are. But those of you who aren't, quinoa is a seed, and you kind of cook it like a grain. It can taste pretty earthy and kind of like bird food if you don't rinse it well before you cook. But, I have found that if you rinse it really good before you cook it, it tastes much better. To me, it tastes kind of like a mix of rice, couscous, and oatmeal. And one of the positives about quinoa, in my opinion anyways, is that it easily absorbs the flavors of whatever you are cooking with it. Okay? Now, another thing, teas. In the morning, I like to take a cup of green tea. I'm talking like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, not when I wake up. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but I do a cup of green tea. which is, it helps with your energy, and it helps with your focus, I think. Again, all of this is what works for me, and I'm just sharing this all with you. And then after dinner, pardon me, I'm sorry. After dinner, you can have some sage tea, which is very smooth and it's calming, okay, which will help you with your sleep. And sleep is another thing that we need, but we'll get to that in a second. Here's something else to kind of stimulate your brain. A lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, I'll meet somebody and 5 minutes later I don't know their name, and it kind of is embarrassing, but you can help your focus. And one of the things that I've learned to start doing is I try what I call the name link trick. Just as an example, if I meet somebody, say I meet a woman and her name is Rose, well, I associate that now with, a rose bush or a rose on her jacket or blouse or whatever. And then I say it once, I'll say, hey, nice to meet you, Rose. And then I'll kind of remember that rose bush and associate that with her face or whatever, or same thing with a guy or whatever. If it's somebody that looks like somebody else to me, if I meet a Sam or something and he looks like, to me anyways, if he looks like, Sam Drucker from the old Green Acres show, I'll remember that and I'll associate that, and I'll remember next time when I see that face, that's Sam. Again, just me, and that's what I do, and to me it helps. Another thing you could do is like a 2-minute puzzle while you're brewing your morning coffee or whatever. If you keep doing stuff like that, believe me, it all adds up, and it helps you in the long run. You'll notice a difference, and you're not going to notice it in a day or two. You got to do it for a couple weeks. But I've already noticed. I've been doing it for a few weeks, and I've noticed it helps a lot. And like I'm juggling a lot of things every week. Like I said, I do this bookkeeping thing. I'm doing taxes for corporate clients and stuff, and payroll, and it's complicated, and that's not something I can screw up. So I need to be sharp and on my game to do that. Otherwise, I'll be out of work. And I do these things to help with my memory and with my focus. And I think focus was the word I was looking for earlier, by the way. Okay, sleep, very important. You need to pick a lights out time and defend it like it's the end of the world. For example, if you say, well, I'm going to stay up, I'm going to try to go to bed at 10 every night or 11 or whatever time you choose, then do that. Make sure you try to start making a habit of that and go to bed every night at whatever time you set for yourself. If you're one of those people that goes to bed, and I used to be this way, I'd get in bed, my mind was going a million miles an hour. I have to do this tomorrow. I have to get this done, that done. I learned if you jot things down, like write it all down, what do I have to do tomorrow? I make a little note here on my desk, and I'm like, okay, I've got to do this S-Corp tomorrow. I've got to do his taxes. I've got to do this one's payroll. I got to do, and I write that all down. It helps tremendously. And when I go to sleep, if I've written that down beforehand, I don't sit there and my mind's not going 90 miles an hour thinking about that, because I know I wrote it down and I'll get to it as soon as I wake up and get into my office again. And then if you're somebody who snores like a freight train, or you wake up unrefreshed, it might be time to go talk to your doctor about sleep apnea. Sleep is definitely, like, to me, it's house cleaning for your brain. So if you're having problems sleeping, or if you're sleeping a full night, and you should try to shoot for at least 7 hours. That's my recommendation, because, again, that's what I shoot for every night, and it's helped. And prior to all this, I was not living any of this healthy stuff, and I was not sleeping good. I was not drinking water. I was not exercising. And since I've started doing all of this, it's helped me quite a bit. And that was kind of the whole reason I started this whole channel and everything, because I thought if it helps me, hopefully I'm helping somebody else out there. All right. And connection. This is another thing that we did in that. I think this is in episode 7 too. That one, when I researched it, blew me away because I don't really personally, excuse me, I'm not a, I don't have that many friends. To me, and this is just me now, but to me, the more friends you got, the more problems you got because everybody's got an issue. And I don't know, that's just me. And I mean, I like to keep everybody at arm's length. And, if you've got a problem, I'll certainly be happy to listen to you and everything. But if I'm in the car with you or, having coffee and you're this and that, and every time I see you, that's what it is. It's not me. Tell me your problem. I'll pray for you. I'll give you whatever advice you want from me. If you want my advice, I will give it to you, free of charge. And, that's kind of how I treat it. But, you definitely need, your brain wants connection. Somebody on calls, if you're somebody who doesn't have anybody to talk to or anything, try to get, somebody to call you once a week, or you call somebody once a week, a family member, an old friend, a new friend, whatever. If that's not available, you can, if you're a churchgoer or something, try to get into the things like the choir or whatever else is going on at your church. Your town certainly has things you could do, like volunteering. Like, I live in a big military town. There is a USO group. Pretty much every military town has that. But people need, they need volunteers for things like that all the time. Like the holidays are coming up. They're doing food drives. They're doing toy drives for kids. There's all kinds of things, if you look into it, that you can volunteer for. And that all helps your brain too. You're making new connections. You're expanding your horizons basically, and your brain lights up with that kind of thing. And it gives your life a little more purpose, if you're not doing anything else. I mean, I know some people are still working and you're busy and you don't have time. I get that. But if you're somebody who's not doing anything, you're retired, you're just sitting around every day, these are all things that are going to stimulate your brain and keep you basically in the game. Okay, so essentially my advice there is invite somebody into your life, into your week, at least once a week. Okay? Your senses. If you've got hearing aids or glasses, please use them. My dad used to have hearing aids and he wouldn't wear them. And I think he did it just to antagonize my mom because he didn't want to listen to whatever she was saying. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying it seemed to me that's what it was. And she was always yelling at him to turn his hearing aids up or whatever. Excuse me. But anyhow, if you do have them, like I said earlier, when your brain is struggling to hear or see, you're focusing all your brain power on that. And if you have hearing aids, those are there to help you hear so that your brain doesn't have to work so hard because the hearing aids will work for you. Same thing with glasses. A lot of people don't like glasses. But there are contacts. There's LASIK surgery and things like that if that's what you're into. Personally, I'm a coward when it comes to that. My eyes, I figure, are my eyes. I've always had this in my head, and it's probably foolish and stupid, but that's me. People have always said, why don't you get contacts? I've never had contacts in my life because to me, poking my finger in my eye to put them in and take them out is just not something I'm going to do. And I know millions of people use them and have them, and there's no problem, but I don't know. It's just a mental block I have, I guess. Okay, so like I said, if you do have glasses or contacts or whatever, or hearing aids, please use them. It helps your brain. It does. And you also, I'll give you bonus points if you have brighter lights in your house, brighter bulbs, and you have night lights at night. If you have to get up to go to the bathroom or something like that in the middle of the night, I will personally give you bonus points for that. Okay? All right. Then we have, what I call natural helpers. Again, food first. Like I said, eat like you're rich or whatever. I know food's not cheap, especially healthy stuff. The prepackaged crap is is cheaper, I know, and everything, and it's, if you want to be healthy, it's going to cost you some money, but it's, to me, it's a lot cheaper than constant doctor visits, constant prescriptions, and all that. So that's another reason I go down this road. I'm kind of, being a bookkeeper and everything, I'm kind of a budget conscious person, and I try to save money wherever I can. So, not that I'm a skinflint, don't mistake me for that. But, I am, I guess, frugal is the word I would use. But anyhow, that's a horse of another color too. But yeah, you should eat healthy, and there's gentle supports that can help too. And remember, I mean, if this is something like I said before, a little earlier, before I got into all this, I was not living a good, healthy lifestyle. I was, not eating good stuff. I told you my McDonald's story, but that's back a few episodes too. I wasn't drinking water. I wasn't really moving around. So, and I, when I started researching this on how to feel better, because I was always feeling sluggish and stuff like that, and that's kind of where the change came. And I realized food is one of the food and water basically are very important to, brain health, body health, everything health. They are. Omega-3s are very good for your brain, which is basically algae or fish. A lot of people take 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of omega-3s every day with food. So, again, I'm not recommending a dose for you or anything. If you're going to do something, check with your doctor first, especially if you're already taking medications or anything, like I said in the disclaimer at the beginning. B12 and vitamin 3. Those are very important too. If you run low, you might want to see your doctor for some lab work, find out where you're at with all this stuff. And then if you are low on B12 or D3, I'm sure your doctor will give you the recommended dose. Once that happens, top up, go to the store, grab, or even on Amazon, whatever, and top up on the supplements or, the B12, the D3s, whatever. Magnesium glycinate. Also good for the brain. It helps with your blood flow and everything. And your brain needs a healthy blood flow to go, to keep circulating there, to keep the gears in motion, as I like to say. A lot of people take between 200 and 400 milligrams in the evening to calm down and sleep. I don't do that personally. This is just me. I take a 500 milligram tablet every day, and I do that in the morning. I don't know if it induces sleep or not. For me, I don't think it does. I've not really checked into that, but I don't find myself getting tired after I take it. But, I've read that a lot of people do it at night, and it calms them down and gives them better sleep. So if that works for you, then that works for you. Okay. Now, we also have herbal and fungal supports. These are more gentle helpers. And again, if you're going to start using stuff like this, you've got to give it time. You can't just take it once and then expect to, be cured tomorrow. Pardon me. And one of the first things we have here is Bacopa monaeri. This is something. It's a natural thing that's used commonly for Alzheimer's disease, for memory and thinking skills, anxiety, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, aka ADHD. And the recommended amount for that is like 300 milligrams a day. That's a pretty standardized metric for that. But again, check with a doctor or a clinician of some sort, your medical professional, before you try or do any of this. And again, you've got to go slow and steady. If you start doing this, give it 6 to 8 weeks and see what happens. Lion's mane is another thing. This is a very good thing for your brain. And you need like, I use an extract of this, and I take like 1 dropper full a day. That seems to help with my focus. Whether or not that's just a placebo thing in my head or it's really working, I don't know, but it seems to work well for me. Then there's the old ginkgo biloba. This again, the recommended dosage for this is 120 to 240 milligrams a day with food. And now, if you are on blood thinners, do not take this because it's not going to work well with blood thinners unless your doctor clears you to do so. Curcumin is another thing, 500 to 1,000 milligrams a day. And all of these things that I just mentioned are helping your brain function, and they help with memory and attention deficit disorder and all that. So my advice is, if you are going to take any of that stuff, again, check with your doctor first. And, if you do start, I would keep a tiny notebook. And this is something I need to start doing because I'm not doing this, and I'm recommending it. But keep a tiny notebook. Write down what you tried, how much you took, how you felt after 2 weeks, and then again, how you feel after 6 weeks. And then your body within 6 weeks is going to tell you what it likes or what it doesn't like. And, I'm not saying stay on it if you're having a bad reaction from something, or, obviously get off it right away and try something different. But those things all help. Now, there are times when we need to seek medical help as well. And if your memory changes begin disrupting your daily life, like you're getting lost in familiar places, you're making huge money mistakes, or you're making medication mistakes, which all of these things are very bad. Or if you're starting to have big personality shifts or safety concerns, please go see your doctor or your clinician. Sometimes it's something you can support or fix pretty easily with, your B12 might be off, your thyroid might be going haywire. Or they might just say, hey, you're not getting enough sleep. Or it could be a side effect from some medication that you're already on. So if you are having personality shifts, you're making mistakes with money or medication, or you're starting to get lost in places that you're familiar with, please see your doctor and see what's up. Okay? All right, so that's going to about wrap it up. And you know me, those of you who've been here before, I like to close out with a little bit of spiritual encouragement. And this week we are going to read from Isaiah 26, verse 3. And, before we wrap it up, try and think about one memory you're grateful for. Maybe a laugh at the dinner table, or a past Thanksgiving or something, or a quiet morning that you had on the porch or at the beach or in the woods or whatever. All those things like that give you peace of mind. They give you peace, kind of, it takes you out of the, there used to be a commercial. It used to say, Calgon, take me away. And to me, if you do stuff, just, you can sit there. It's, it's like reading a book to me. When you read a book, it can take you into whatever adventure you're reading about, or if you're reading a romance novel, you're, imagining, you know what I mean? It's putting you in another world. And, to me, thinking good thoughts like we had a great Thanksgiving 2 years ago, or, those not only stimulate your mind, but they're nice to give you peace of mind and get you out of whatever funk you could be in at this particular moment. So, with that in mind, let's read the verse. And it says, "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee." And again, that's from the King James Version, and that's out of Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3. So let's breathe that in. And, when you're doing those breathing exercises, I always like, when I breathe in, I'm just breathing in. And when I'm doing that in my head, I'm saying thank you. And then when I exhale, I'm thinking peace. Okay, and then I do it again, I do it again, I do it a bunch of times. But that's me again. But take my advice, take it or leave it. Okay, now I got a little challenge for you. This is my 7-day brain boost. Okay, so pick 2 of these to start with, and then tell me in the comments which ones you used and how they worked out for you. So on Monday, you could do a 20 to 30 minute walk and then have a snack with walnuts and berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, whatever, floats your boat as far as berries go. Tuesday, you could try green tea in the morning, sage tea after dinner. Wednesday, do some salmon, and then do 10 sit to stands. Remember, sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up. And again, take your time. This is not a race or anything like that. So that's for Wednesday. Thursday, try some turmeric, a pinch of turmeric with your dinner, and call a friend. Get involved with something. Friday, learn one new thing. Be that a song, the lyrics for a song. And I'm not saying you need to learn the whole lyrics. You could just learn the chorus or whatever. Even if it's a commercial, a jingle, something. Or you could try and learn a few words in another language. And then Saturday, go to a farmer's market, get some greens, get some healthy stuff there. It's not that expensive it's still going to cost you money, but it's not that expensive at the farmer's market as it is at the grocery store. Besides that, the farmer's market has much better produce, I've found, than the grocery store does. Now, I'm lucky. There's a farm 10 minutes down the road from where I am, and they have a store there. So, it's great. This is farm fresh produce that you buy there. It's a heck of a lot better than what you buy in the grocery store. And then Sunday is an early wind down. Do the breathing thing. And then do the lights out on time thing. So pick 2 of those and try them this week. Any 2 of those. You don't have to do them all, and see if it's starting to make a difference for you. Okay. All right. Now, like I said earlier, I am going to start a membership if and when we hit 1,000 subscribers. Now, we're slowly but surely getting there. I think we're around 300 now. But it doesn't make any sense to start it unless I have at least 1,000 subscribers. And, out of that, I don't expect all 1,000 subscribers to, go subscribe to the membership. That's not what it's about. I just, I'm a numbers guy, so I know that, if I have 1,000 people that are subscribed to this channel, 25 of them, just as an example, will go with the membership. The membership is going to be a paid membership. It's not going to be outrageous. It's going to be an affordable paid membership. And again, I'm not expecting 1,000 of my YouTube subscribers to, sign on to this membership. But it's going to be a monthly membership. It's every month you're going to get 2 exclusive videos. There's going to be a healing and holistic wellness newsletter with healthy recipes in there, at least one healthy recipe every month. And then, like I said earlier, the road trip with Roy, that segment where I'm going to travel and video where I go or whatever. And then, I'm going to, the reason this is a paid membership, I need to pay somebody to film while I'm visiting these places and to edit and all that good stuff. So, if you would like to be a part of that, be sure to subscribe so you do not miss the launch of that when it happens. And also, I wanted to mention a couple episodes back, or probably even last episode, I said that I was going to have a sample of the newsletter, which I am building. It is a digital newsletter, and this has been a heck of a week. It's been very hectic. There's been a bunch of business that I've had to do, and there was some travel in the meantime and things. So I have not finished the sample newsletter yet. I am trying, and I hope to have it done by the next episode, which will be this Thursday. I'm also late with this episode because of all that. Life kind of just took over in this past week, so I apologize for this video being late. Normally, this video is out every Thursday. It is now, Sunday? So, I apologize for that. But, like I said, look for another one this Thursday. Okay? And now, before I go, if tonight helped you in any way at all, please like, subscribe, comment, and share this with somebody you care about. You never know, you could be helping somebody that's at the end of their rope, And if you want extra tips, don't forget episode 7, which was natural help for mental clarity. That ties in with this episode, and you might pick up some things there that I didn't mention here, which could be helpful to you or somebody you know. I am going to put the link in the description. Well, the link is in the description by the time you watch this, down below. And I guess that's it. So as always, if you have a prayer request, please let me know. I would be more than honored to pray for you. And you can put your prayer request in the comments, or if it's of a more personal nature, you can email your prayer request to me at lifeafter55channel@gmail.com. I will also put that link down below as well. Or that link should be in the comments or down below in the comments section, whatever it's called. I don't know. But, I do read any emails that come to me, and, I would be honored to pray for any one of you with whatever issues you have going on in your life. Okay? Now, to close it out, I just want to let you know, I took a pretty nasty fall, not this past Saturday, but the one before. I did a face plant, which was my own fault because I tripped over, my own sandals that I was wearing. It's a long story, but we'll talk about that next time. Anyways, I face planted in my kitchen, and when I did, these glasses got bent to shreds. I had to take pliers and everything and straighten them all out, so they're as good as they're going to get, I guess. But they didn't break. Surprising. I thought they broke when I landed. And I literally did a face plant, and I had a bloody nose like you would not believe. Like, I've got pictures of all the blood on the floor. It looks like this was a murder scene or something over here. But anyways, so I thought, I'm up there at that age where, people start falling and it's not good. And like I said, I face planted real good, and it kind of, snapped me into reality, so to speak. But anyways, we're going to tackle fall prevention in the next episode. And this is going to be like tiny home tweaks, some quick balance drills and footwear fixes that will keep us all upright, including me, the big klutz that fell a week or so ago. All right. So with that said, thank you for spending your time with me today. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. I'm Roy. This is Life After 55, a community where we help, encourage, and lift each other up in spirit and kindness to the best of our abilities. So with all that said, we're going to wrap up this episode of Life After 55. Take good care of that amazing mind God gave you. Goodbye for now. And Lord willing, I will be back again next week with another episode where we'll talk about fall prevention. Thank you all again for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.